Boom, 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 ba-da-dum, 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 boom, boom, ba-da-dum. They snuck into the kitchen when no one was looking.
Look out, Mama, it's Danger Man cooking.
Oh, no.
Hello and welcome to Danger Men Cooking. My name is Stephen Schlissel.
And I'm Gary Schmidt. Stephen's going to take us up today to Southwind Farm in North Rupert, Vermont.
We will be meeting with Jeremy Russo, head cheesemaker of the Vermont Raclette cheese.
And then we're going to take the cheese that he makes and distribute it among the products we're going to make with the tapas meal.
So, without further ado, let's head up Route 30 to North Rupert to visit Jeremy.
All right.
Okay, I'm here today with Jeremy Russo, a sixth-generation farmer here at his farm, Southwind Farms. And Jeremy is making a very delicious, unique cheese, and he's going to tell us a little bit about the farm here today. So Jeremy, I understand the farm has been in your family for generations. Can you give us a little history?
Well, we're the sixth generation of my family to run the farm. I came back after graduating from Cornell in '97, worked for a neighboring farm for several years, and decided I wanted to go out on my own. My grandmother and grandfather were still alive at the time, so I started renting this farm from them in 2001. We purchased the farm, my wife and I, in 2007, and we're still going.
So I understand that it's a value-added product. You're using all of your own milk?
No, we use a small portion of our milk that I make the cheese with. The other 95% of our milk is sold to Cabot Creamery.
Okay, but all your cheese is made with your milk?
That's correct.
Okay.
That's correct.
So,
I truck my milk to a facility in Weston, make the cheese myself, age the cheese in Weston, bring it back to home to sell it, and in various local stores.
well, while we're on that subject, we're here in North Rupert. I mean, we can see Paulette just right up the road there. Give us an idea of about 6 or 7 of the local places in the immediate area that we might find your product.
Well, from starting in Wells, if you come down south on 30, we have it at the Wells Country Store, we have it at Max Market in the village of Paulette, and then down into Dorset at the Dorset Union Store, H.N. Williams, and then on into Manchester where the Garden Arts Fresh Market just started carrying it as well. Our best store is right on the farm. The farm store is our best seller.
Okay. Well, I was here the other day and I bought a piece of your delicious cheese, and it didn't last very long in the house. It's I don't want to call it a Swiss cheese. It's Swiss-like, but it doesn't have the holes in it, and it doesn't taste like a Swiss cheese per se, but excellent for melting.
Yes, it's a very unique cheese. It's people like to classify it as a Swiss, but like you say, it's much better than a typical Swiss, and it's not a cheddar, which everybody asks.
Danger Men Cooking, our first show was at a neighboring farm, Consider Bardwell, where we interviewed, amongst other people, the chief cheesemaker, Peter, and I believe you have some experience with him?
Yes, I took a course from Peter in 2006 at Taylor Farm in Londonderry. That was my first taste of cheese making, say, and that's where I developed the relationship with Mark Fisher of Woodcock Farm, where I currently make the cheese.
So I understand that politics are in your blood. You have a grandfather that was a state representative, was it?
My mother's father, Bob Graff, was a state rep for Paulette and the 3 surrounding towns for 40 years, and he was a big influence on myself and my 3 brothers.
And you've worked for former Senator Jeffers for a while?
My senior year at Cornell, I spent a semester working with Senator Jeffers as an intern. Upon graduation, I got hired to work as an aide to the agricultural and environmental assistant.
So you decided the world of politics was a little messy, so you decided to become a dairy farmer.
That's correct. It was a lot of fun in D.C. I got my fill of that fun and decided it was time to come back home.
And so, do you have full-time employees here?
Yes, I do. Currently one full-timer and then 2 fill-in part-time high school kids.
Okay, and I imagine your wife helps with some of the sales sometimes, and of
Yes.
course the kids are here as much as possible
Yep.
to...
They keep her busy.
Now, I was in the barn earlier, and I saw you have a bunch of calves.
We typically carry anywhere from 6 to 12 younger calves, anywhere from a day old up to 4 months is the period they're going to be on milk. And then once we wean them on milk, they move to a different pen. So as you enter through the cheese store, we call it, you can go in and visit the calves and get your hand chewed on.
Now, I was here about a week ago, and it seems that they're already a little bit bigger than they were a week ago. They grow pretty quickly.
Typically, they add about a pound a day. So right now, our herd size, including milking and dry cows, is 73 total cows. In addition to that, we have 70 younger cattle that aren't pregnant or are pregnant due to calves.
And what exactly are you feeding them?
We are in a process of transitioning to organic milk. Right now, they go out twice a day to graze. In addition, we supplement them with round bales, both dry and baleage.
So are they eating any grain?
No, currently we're not feeding any grain.
So grass-fed milk.
Exactly.
Grass-fed cattle.
As close as you can get to a natural diet of a dairy cow as you can get.
And why would that be important to the people back home listening?
We feel it's more of a natural diet. It's what evolution taught them how to do. Grazing has always been a big part of our operation. It's a great way to manage the land and the livestock.
So how many acres approximately are you haying?
Right now we're right around 80 total acres of hay ground.
And you're able to fulfill all your needs for hay, including the winter, what you're baling?
In a good growing season, we should be able to put up all the feed that we need to have stored feed enough for 6 months of winter feeding.
Finally, as with every dairy farm that I've been to, occasionally the cows get sick, and I imagine at times you have to medicate them, and I imagine that's the case here.
As with any livestock or any living creature, medication is an important part of the management practices. Because we're in transition to organic, and once we become certified organic, antibiotics are prohibited. However, part of the certification says if an animal needs antibiotics, you're required to give them to her, but then you have to sell her. We haven't had any issues regarding antibiotic use because we feel like we're able to prevent more illness. We're taking a more proactive step than reactive. And that's important part of that is having the cows go out twice a day, exercise, fresh air, good grass to munch on, just a healthier lifestyle for the cows.
So this is your whole farmstead. You're living right here next to your cow barns, and you're selling right now. There's corn and green peppers. Any other crops that people are going to find on the farm stand?
Typically we'll do seasonal veggies. The sweet corn has just come in, so that's a pretty big seller for us. Some smaller other types of vegetables, maple syrup, maple cream, definitely cheese when it's not out of stock because it's so popular. We're right on Route 30, which is a very busy, high touristy road, and we're able to capitalize on that. And we're trying to offer a lot of different products, but not get too out of hand.
And I think you're going to take us up to Weston now to see the operation of the cheese making, and we will see more up there. Okay, so Jeremy and I have taken the chairlift up the mountain, and right now we are at Woodcock Farm in Weston. Woodcock is a farm that's producing mostly sheep cheese, I believe. Jeremy is working on his batch, and he is now getting the whey out of the whey. And it seems he's got a ways to go. So Jeremy, what do you do with what you're pulling out of the vat here today?
couple pigs and he butchers once a year. This is the final step before I take the curd out of the vat and put the curd in the molds. Today we did a 90-gallon batch, which is approximately 770 pounds of milk.
And when you're finished making cheese and it's aged, how much can you expect as far as cheese out of it?
Usually the yield we get with our milk is about 10 to 1, so 10 pounds of milk for 1 pound of cheese.
And this is a raclette, am I pronouncing it correctly?
Yes, this is Vermont raclette is what we're calling it. We use the starter cultures as our first step in the process. At the same time heating the milk to a certain temperature. It's just like any recipe, there's certain steps you follow at the same time, same.
And I imagine even though you're doing the same thing over and over, things change.
Oh, absolutely.
Humidity is going to change, the actual batch of milk, some of it might have more fat depending on the time of year in the feed.
Absolutely. The biggest variable is the milk, and what the cows are eating at any given time also changes that. And especially with a small batch and only doing it once a week, there's even variables that you have no control over, such as feed quality is probably the biggest thing, and especially in the winter when you're feeding stored feed versus right now when the cows are grazing, getting 95% of their feed from pasture. A raclette is a melting style cheese made both in France and Switzerland, and there's a few cheesemakers in the U.S. making it. So what I've always been told is to raclette means to scrape. So the herdsmen, when they go up in the fall to bring their cattle down for winter, they would take the rounds of cheese, cut them in half, heat the face of the cheese, and then scrape it to raclette it. So that's how the name originated. So right now the curd has been pre-pressed to the bottom of the vat, which is part of our cheese making process. Every cheese is made differently, but with this raclette, we pre-press it before we put it in the mold. So the pre-pressing actually is bound the cheese together in the shape of the vat right now. That's why we can't see any curds.
So you've been here since 6 o'clock this morning. We got here a little bit after 9. Tell us what you've done, the process, what you did when you got here this morning.
So we haul our milk in stainless steel 100-pound milk cans, or 10 gallons. I got here, the milk goes right in the vat. The first step is to start heating it. We take a sample for antibiotic testing and a sample for pH testing. We have a set temperature. Once it reaches 80 degrees, we got our starter cultures. And then that's when the cheese making process officially starts. From 80, we heat it up to 90 degrees. At 90, we add the rennet. The rennet is what coagulates the milk and makes your curd. After that, we cut the curd, and then we stir it for a certain amount of time. With this style of cheese, it's called a cooked curd cheese. We'll actually remove a portion of the whey and replace it with hot water. To finish the cooking process, we get it up to 100 degrees. Well, we pre-press it and we drain the whey. That's what I'm doing right now.
And what kind of rennet are you using?
We use a veal rennet. I was getting ready to cut the curd into a more manageable size so I can put it in these molds. These are a Dutch style Canopy mold, they're called. There's 3 pieces. There's the main body, the netting, and then we have a follower that goes on top. That's curd pre-pressed. This is the draining table. The cheese will go on here, and then we'll press it with weights once I have all the curd out of the vat. And the molds. So the molds are perforated. It allows the whey to leave the curd and you apply pressure without some sort of press. This is the best we can do to apply even pressure without having to top it over. So we'll leave these in this under pressure for 15 to 20 minutes. I'll take the pressure and the weights off. We'll flip the cheese, reapply the pressure, do that again, and then do it one more time before I leave. To get a uniformity in the cheese curd itself, I will flip these, each mold, the cheese in the mold 3 times while I'm still here. Probably right now they're close to 13 and a half, 14 pounds. By the time they're done pressing and aged, our wheels average around 10 or 11 pounds.
And your cheese is edible rind.
Yes, so it's a washed rind cheese. Generally, I don't eat the rind at the same time as the cheese, just because it's such a different flavor. It's really earthy, and so if I'm cutting and eating it myself, separate the rind and before the last flip, I'll place numbers right in the next to the mold or next to the cheese itself, and that signifies the batch number. And this is batch number 16 today. In my opinion, this cheese is best 60 to 90 days. But right now, our production is matching our sales, so we generally don't have a lot of inventory that can go beyond that 90-day period.
And certainly you have plenty of milk if you needed to increase production. Would you have the capacity to come here more often if you needed it?
More so in the winter. I could do maybe 2 batches a week, or maybe a double batch in a day.
Any plans on building your own facility at some point?
We penciled it out, and the numbers scared us. So we thought our vision would be, we're going to build it once, build it the right size, that we could take all our milk, which is as much as 1 million pounds a year, convert that into cheese, which would be 100,000 pounds of cheese. That's a big operation.
So if there are any investors out there that want to get into the cheese business big time, it's something that you might be interested in.
Yeah,
it only makes sense because I would imagine you certainly can make more money making cheese than selling your milk to Cabot.
Absolutely. So the thought of setting our own price with cheese, I mean we're doing a small portion now, but with all our milk into cheese is something we'd really like to do.
Right. And when you're past a transition point and you're fully certified organic, it's going to make a difference. I would imagine somebody other than Cabot might be interested in your milk at that point?
Yeah, at that point we'll still be members of Agrimark, which owns Cabot, but we're going to be members of a co-op called Organic Valley. They're based in Wisconsin.
Sure.
So they're going to be buying our milk. It'll be a different truck. Most likely it'll go to a different facility that processes organic milk.
So you've been here since 5 this morning. You're about ready to head back to the flatland?
My real job.
Your real job. A little bit about your cheese is made for melting. What have people made with your cheese in particular? What would you recommend doing with it?
Makes a heck of a grilled cheese sandwich, but it's good for fondue, pizza, which is one of our most popular ways to eat it. Tacos, where we shred it. It shreds really nice if it comes right out of the refrigerator and it's still cold. But anything where a piece of melting cheese comes, Reubens, so it's really good for sandwiches. When some of our events, we'll actually do a fancy grilled cheese, we call it. We use Rupert Rising bread, a local sourdough.
We've had Jet on the show.
Oh yeah, and we have a panini grill, so we'll do that. That's usually a really big hit.
Macaroni and cheese?
Macaroni and cheese, a really good base if you combine it with a Cabot sharp cheddar.
Okay.
Really,
you would recommend that?
Yeah, absolutely.
Thank you for your time today, man. It's a pleasure.
Thanks,
it's
Steve.
a pleasure just dealing with a grassroots Vermonter that we Flatlanders don't get to see too much.
Welcome back, and I hope you enjoyed your adventure to Southwind Farm in Rupert. Today we're going to make a series of tapas, and tapas is a style of food preparation and a style of eating that was originated in Spain. And tapas is a portion of food that's a little larger than an appetizer. And so it's a little more fulfilling. And tapas requires a lot of different ingredients. And as you can see, we have a variety of items here. And in my opinion, the more items you have at your disposal, the more fun this can be. This can be considered like a painter's palette. So for a chef, it's a lot of fun to have many different ingredients at your disposal, so we can improvise a little bit along the way. So today, we're going to make a series of 5 items. We're going to make some deviled eggs. We're going to make a tortilla. We're going to make a stuffed tomato. We're going to make a very large canopy on the toasted bread. And we're going to actually make a little sushi. So before we start putting all these things together, we want to get together our mise en place. And that's what we have here. And there's 2 other items that I want to make before we get started. The first one is the paste that we're going to stuff the eggs with. So I will show you the procedure for that. We've boiled our eggs, and now we're going to cut them and get them ready for display. When you're going to be serving the eggs, you want to make sure that they're standing up on the plate so that they don't slide around. The first thing we're going to do is cut the edge off of each side of the egg. And what this is for is so that when we cut the egg in half, that it'll sit firmly on the plate and it won't move. Then we're going to slice the egg in half, and we're going to take the yolks and place them in the blender. So here I have a total of 6 egg yolks, and now we're going to proceed to making the paste for the eggs. There's many, many recipes for this, but this is my take on it. I'm going to put a little sour cream in here. I would say 2 tablespoons. I'm going to put in some cream cheese, a half a package of cream cheese, Dijon mustard, a good tablespoon of that, and some salt. And we're going to whisk that around. We're going to stop it for a second and just pull down the edges of the bowl so that everything gets incorporated. And one more time. And there we have our egg paste. And you can see that by adding the sour cream and a little cream cheese, it extends the volume, and it also makes it a little firmer. So it will stand up on the egg very nicely. And now, the next thing we're going to make is something similar to what they call canopy butter. There are different ways to make that also, believe it or not. But I'm going to make it with cream cheese. So I'm going to take half of our block of cream cheese, again some Dijon mustard, a little mayonnaise, tablespoon of mayonnaise, and I'm going to add some herbs to it. Today I'm adding some tarragon. Yesterday I added some oregano and it was delicious. So we're going to do the same thing. We're going to blend that. Again, we're going to push down the sides just so that we can get a good mix on it. And that's it. We have our canopy butter. Traditionally, canopy butter is made, of course, with butter, herbs, and spices and so forth. But this works very well also. So now we have our egg paste, our canopy butter. Now another item on our menu is going to include some pancetta. So we're going to cook the pancetta with a little oil in the pan. Pancetta, if you do not know, is a style of Italian cold cut, and it's similar to a bacon. It looks like this, and it's sliced very, very thin. We're going to cook that up and use it as one of the garnishes on our tapas. So while that pan is heating up, we have some artichoke hearts, marinated artichoke hearts, and I'm going to cut those into small pieces to form something of like a little salad. Dice them up. These are marinated artichokes. And to add to the artichokes, I'm going to take a little bit of this sun-dried tomato. Add that, mix that up. And then I'm going to take a small slice of red onion and dice that up very fine. Add that to the mix. And going to place it in this ramekin so we have it available to us for one of our tapas meals. There's a little marination juice and oil here that would be very good in here, and actually a little bit more olive oil would be even better. So we have a very nice, moist, delicious salad of artichokes, olives, olive oil. So now the oil has heated up to the right temperature, and we're going to place the pancetta into the pan. And you can see that it reacts to the oil immediately. And we're going to let it cook on one side for exactly 15 seconds. And turn it over. And another 5 seconds is probably enough for that. And we're going to then just place that on a plate and save it for later. So now we're accumulating our garnish and our mise en place, as they call it. And I think we'll get started. Since we have the oil in this pan, warm already, our first tapas item we'll do would be something similar to a quesadilla. So I have these flour tortillas, and if I was preparing this dish ahead of time, I would first saute the tortilla in the pan in the oil so it gets a little texture on there, a nice brown perhaps, something like this. And then we'll do the other side. So that one side will be the bottom, and this one will be the top. You put a touch more oil in there since that absorbed the oil. Now, as I said, This is the procedure I would do if I was making these ahead of time, so that if you're serving these to your guests, all you would have to do is just reheat these. So, there we go. That's done enough. Now we'll take the tortilla and place it on the plate. And we're going to choose the ingredients that we want to add to this. So the first thing we're going to put in is the cheese that we have from South Wind Farm. Will be on the bottom. And actually, I think I'm going to put a little bit of our Canopy Butter in there. And I'm going to take some onions, nice thinly sliced red onions, and a few peppers, and a few slices of avocado. Have something like that. We're going to now place the tortilla on top. I'm going to put this back into the pan, and we're going to let that cook so that the cheese melts, of course, and blends all of the items that we have in there. Okay, so we're just going to let that cook for a moment while we move on. So we have here Roma tomatoes, plum tomatoes, and they've been hollowed out. And just like I did on the hard-boiled eggs, I cut a flat surface on the back of the tomato so that it sits on the plate, on the platter, without rolling around. Tomatoes often do that, as do eggs. So, now we're going to take the mixture that we made earlier, artichoke and olive mixture, and we're going to stuff the tomatoes with that. We'll do 4 of these. And this, as you can see, would be a very nice vegetarian tapas at the moment, but we are not finished with it yet. So we have these other ingredients now that we have at our fingertips. So let me take one of these nice little tomatoes and slice them. We could place one right there. We could place one right there. And on 2 of the others, I'm going to take some pimento. Slice those nice and thin. Drape that across the top like that. And then I have some boiled shrimp here. I'm going to take a little bit of this paste, put it on the bottom of the shrimp, stick it on. As you can see, the paste adds as an adhesive, so it keeps things in place and it tastes really good. What else could we do? Okay, next I'm going to take a black olive. These are calamatas, and I'm going to place it right on the side there for that one. And I'm going to place it, keep those matching. So we have 2 tomatoes with shrimp and olive, and they are finished. And now we need to add something to the others to make them a little more delectable. We're going to take some avocado, and as you can see, when we're making these, if you can keep things looking neat and in order, the shapes stay the same, the design stays the same, it is much more appealing to the eye. And then we're going to take another piece of olive. I'm going to put a little paste on there. Now this is going to brighten it up. We have the paste with the avocado under the olive, and it shows up that olive a little nicer. And we'll do the same thing here. So there we go. So that's our first set of tapas, stuffed tomato. Now, let's go back to our quesadilla we made here. It is finished. I'm going to take this out of the pan. We're just going to portion it out. And for a tapas size portion, I would just cut this into 4 pieces and place these on the plate in nice order. And we're going to add to the top some avocado. And again, I'm going to use our paste here. And as you can see, of course, this is a very versatile item. Put a little on each one. Now, you can use anything for what I'm doing here in terms of a garnish with a paste. You might perhaps think that something like a red sauce might go well with this. We're going to place the avocado on top of the paste, and I think a little touch of yellow would go very well. So I'm going to take these small plum tomatoes and cut them crosswise, and we're going to place them right in the middle of the avocado, and there we go with that. So there we are. Now, part of the work that we're doing with tapas is called garde-manger. Garde-manger is a French term that means keeper of the cold food. And in restaurant and hotel work, there are people who are called garde-mangers. And part of their job is to create the beauty out of food, bring the beauty out of food, and by incorporating all these different colors and shapes. So when you do something like this, just be creative and picture yourself perhaps as somebody who's painting a picture and just making something pleasing to the eye. All right, so now let's go to our eggs. We have the paste and our shells. And just to reiterate one more time, we cut the edges off the bottom of the eggs. We're going to take the paste and spoon it on nicely. And lots of times this is done with a pastry bag. You can make it look even a little fancier than what I'm doing, but if you don't have that equipment, what I'm doing is just fine. So we're going to place the paste on the egg. And now here is another way, a different way of presenting deviled eggs. Instead of cutting the egg lengthwise, we leave it as a whole egg. And again, cut the bottom and we take the yolk out of the middle, and we have this nice little crown. So we're going to fill that up. And as you can see, that sets a little higher, and it's a very nice presentation for a deviled egg. Now, this is our basic formula for deviled egg. Let's see what we can do with that. Here's a nice idea. If we take one of our shrimp and we just slice it in half. To start with, we can put a nice piece of shrimp on the egg like that. We have green olives that look very nice against the yellow. And then let's go back to our pimento. I'm going to cut that to the size of the egg, put that right down the middle, like that. We have a little of this sun-dried tomato, which would look nice right in the middle of the shrimp. And on top of the olive, we'll do this. I have this very thinly sliced salami. I'm going to cut that in half, and I'm going to make a little pinwheel, I guess you would call it, and put it in the back of the olive like that. And I'm going back again to the black olives because I can see that that stripe needs perhaps some sort of wings or something like that. And then to top everything off, we could just garnish it with a little green, a little tarragon. So that's another example of tapas utilizing eggs. Now, let's go to our next one. And this is going to be utilizing the bread that we sauteed in the oil. So, what we're first going to do is take our paste and spread that on here. Now, this is going to be more like a sandwich in a way, open face. Like that. And let's do one more. Okay, so we have our paste on top of the bread. And earlier we cooked the pancetta. So now we're going to take the pieces of pancetta, place them right on the paste there, like that. Okay. We have the cheese that we obtained from the farm. I'm going to cut this cheese in the shape of a triangle, I guess. Like that. So we have now a ham and cheese sandwich. But let's see what else we can do to that. Tomatoes go well with sandwiches. So we're going to put a nice thin slice of tomato, a couple of those. And we can put those just covering the cheese a little bit. And on the others, we'll place some avocado instead, like that. And I'm going to go back to the pimento. Okay, so I see where I'm going to put that. A nice little stripe right down the middle to separate the tomato and the cheese, and the avocado and the cheese. that. And one more, like that. And that looks very nice, I think, as a sandwich. Okay, it's looking pretty good here. Now, we're going to make our homegrown sushi. Sushi is really not that difficult to make, and you can certainly get creative with this. What I'm going to do is make not a rolled sushi, but just a sushi that is on a bed of rice. So what I have here is, of course, boiled rice. This is Japanese rice, sushi rice. The preparation of this is very simple. You could make rice the normal way and add a little vinegar, rice vinegar, and perhaps a little sugar. There are many different recipes for sushi rice, so look it up on the internet and figure it out. You get your rice is boiled, and then when it comes to a boil, you form it into a little ball with your hand, and make sure you have a little water on the palm of your hand so that the rice doesn't stick to your palm for the rest of the day. And you just put it on the plate as it's in shape, and on top of this I have horseradish. I didn't have any wasabi, but I used our American style horseradish. So, you know, it doesn't have to be exactly like you get it at a restaurant perhaps, but you can do your own thing. So, let's see what we can do to make it look like we're eating the real thing, perhaps. We will be eating the real thing. It'll just be another real thing. So I'm going to take the pimento again, and I'm going to slice it into very thin strips. Going to place that on the top like this. This is kind of a classic look. There when you get sushi, you might see a strip of seaweed on top of there. I'm going to take a piece of shrimp. I'm going to take the tails off this time. And wrap it around like that. And back to the black olive. Black olive is really nice because it does create a contrast. Okay, we'll do that one. Lots of times there's a omelet involved in sushi. But since we don't have the omelet, let's use our egg paste. Put a little dollop right on the top. Okay. Well, of course, the old California roll with the avocado. Something like that. And of course, there's the traditional salami roll right here. I think that looks really good. With a little olive. And then I think I'm going to put on the avocado a little bit of this sun-dried tomato. And I do think that salami roll needs just a little bit of color. And put this right on top. Okay, so here we have some nice sushi-like products. And those are things that we have made just from whatever we have at home. No need to get fancy, but just make sure it's good and delicious. So, I think that's it for our tapas menu today, and I hope it has been informative to you and gives you a little spurt of creation. So have fun. And Stephen, are you here?
I can tell, Gary, that you must have loved Mr. Potato Head when you were little. This is amazing.
Well, this is it, and I hope you've all enjoyed it. And Stephen,
What can
for
I
now,
say? Until next time,
keep on cooking.
Boom 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 ba da dum 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 boom boom ba. They snuck into the kitchen when no one was looking.
Look out, Mama, it's Danger Man cooking.
Oh, no.